feel dizzy looking at the title of this video. Nor will you feel dizzy watching the thumbnail of this video. Vietnam is currently the world's second largest rice importer. We even have to import rice from Cambodia. Vietnam, a country dubbed the Rice Bowl of Asia by the world, has unexpectedly joined the group of the planet's largest rice importers. In just the first 9 months of 2025, Vietnam spent over $1.5 billion United States dollars buying rice, a figure exceeding the cost of importing wheat or soybeans. According to statistics from the U.S. Department, Vietnam currently ranks second in the world for rice imports, only after the Philippines, a country with a slightly larger population than Vietnam. It sounds strange. Why is this the case? Everyone thinks Vietnam should be a top rice exporter in the world, so why does it have to import rice? But the more we learn, the more we see this is not a paradox, but something completely normal in Vietnam. Why is Vietnam the world's second largest rice importer, when it's a top rice exporter that has to buy rice at? Welcome to Hai Tam Story. Don't rush to criticize or complain before discussing imports. Let's talk about exports. Rice has always been associated with this activity as a habit of Vietnam. Export first, then import. It must be affirmed that we have always been a top rice exporter in the world, usually only after India. As of September 2025, Vietnam had exported 7 million tons of rice and earned $3.5 billion United. Vietnamese exported rice is no longer ordinary or mediocre goods, but premium types like ST24, ST25, sold to Japan, Korea, Europe, the Middle East, at very high prices, from $600 to $1,000 United States dollars per ton. In other words, Vietnam not only sells rice, but also sells quality rice brands. Previously, we exported in any way, sold to anyone who bought. As long as there was a buyer, we sold, if there was an order before. But now the story is completely different. We select products for export, no longer selling ordinary rice at any cost, but focusing on delicious, fragrant, premium, branded rice. This is the type of rice that wealthy countries want to enjoy. What about domestically? Factories producing rice noodles, pho, rice paper, wine, or feed for pigs and chickens don't need delicious rice. They only eat cheap rice, broken rice, early silver rice, cracked rice, small and perfect grains. As long as it's cheap, easy to cook, but this type of rice, Vietnam no longer grows much of it, because farmers have switched to growing high-quality rice for export. And so, to save domestic production costs, Vietnam has to import rice. To clarify, we import cheap rice from Cambodia, from India, from Pakistan. Don't say Vietnam buys low-quality goods, because this is an extremely smart economic strategy. And that's why we are both a top rice exporter and a top rice importer in the world. More specifically, exporting delicious rice and importing less delicious rice. Importing cheap rice is an extremely smart move. We export delicious rice to earn foreign currency, then import cheap rice for industrial use and processing. For example, 1 ton of Indian rice costs only about 350 yuan, while 1 ton of premium Vietnamese rice can be sold for double or more. So, exporting 1 ton of delicious rice and buying back 2 tons of cheap rice while still having money, that is an extremely wise calculation and not paradoxical as many think. And this is the modern commercial mindset that few paid attention to before. Instead of trying to do everything, focus on what brings the highest value, which is delicious rice, branded rice, premium rice for export. As for broken rice and fractured rice used for making wine, noodles, let other countries grow them, we just buy them at a cheaper price. In other words, Vietnam is following global economic rules. Export what you're best at and buy what others make cheaper. It's like Japan exporting luxury cars, but importing raw steel and components from other countries. That is specialization, not contradiction. So, many people still think Vietnam imports rice because it's not enough to eat, after reading headlines and seeing representative images, but that's completely not the case. The imported rice is not for people to cook meals or for production. About 70% of imported rice is used for food processing industries, such as making noodles, rice paper, rolled cakes, rice wine, and feed for. Thanks to importing cheap rice, food prices in Vietnam remain stable and don't increase much. So we both sell delicious rice abroad to earn money and buy cheap rice to maintain domestic. Both are beneficial, and this move is very wise. It's even more interesting that among the countries we import rice from Cambodia. Why does Vietnam have to import rice from Cambodia? Interestingly, most of the rice Vietnam imports from Cambodia is actually grown by Vietnamese people. The story of Vietnam importing rice from Cambodia is even more interesting than you think, because most of that rice is not produced by Cambodians. It is literally Vietnamese rice grown on Cambodian soil. That rice grain carries Vietnamese varieties, Vietnamese techniques, Vietnamese harvesters, Vietnamese labor, and Vietnamese soil. The only difference is it grows on land across the border, Cambodian land, which is cheaper and easier to cultivate. For over a decade now, many Vietnamese businesses have quietly gone to Cambodia to rent land long-term. 20 years then 50 years for cultivate. Familiar names in the Mekong Delta rice industry all have agricultural joint venture projects across the border. And the areas they choose are mainly provinces and regions near the Mekong River, with fertile land and sparse population. Standing on this side of the border looking across, you see endless green rice fields stretching to the horizon. And interestingly, in those fields, the sounds of harvesters, laughter, and speech are still Vietnamese. Why don't you go to Cambodia to grow rice instead of growing it at home? The answer is very brief and related to economics. Do it where it's cheaper. In Vietnam, land rental prices, electricity, water, fuel, and labor costs are all, while in Cambodia everything is cheaper. It's like Korea bringing Samsung phones to Vietnam for production. For Vietnamese businesses, this is a golden opportunity. They just need to bring rice varieties, harvesters, fertilizers, and even Vietnamese farmers there to grow rice. Cambodians then work as hired labor, while techniques, management, and purchasing are all handled by Vietnamese. When harvested, the rice will be milled, packaged, then returned to Vietnam through Mont Vai or Tin Bien border gates. On paper, it's called rice imported from Cambodia. But in reality, if you follow the trail, you'll see clearly. It's still authentic Vietnamese rice, just grown in Cambodia to save costs. Simply put, this is a vicious cycle, but a very clever one. That's cheap, so wear it. It's like a business opening two factories. One in the city for display, one in the countryside for low-cost production. Profits still flow into their pockets, just with a slightly different allocation. Instead of bearing high domestic costs, place the factories and rice fields right across the border. Still the same Mekong River, same climate. The costs are several dozen % lower, isn't it? This is nothing new in the world. Japan once leased land in Australia to grow wheat and soy. South Korea has invested in growing corn as far as Madagascar, Africa. China also pours money into Africa to ensure food security. Vietnam is now doing the same, except we don't have to go to Africa, Australia, or anywhere too far. We utilize Cambodia right across the border, our neighboring country. Close, cost-effective, easy to control. A rice truck only takes a few hours to return to Hindou, Long An, or Tianjiang for immediate profit. Thanks to this approach, Vietnamese businesses have saved a lot of costs. They don't have to worry about land shortages and have a stable supply of cheap rice for the processing industry. Cambodia also benefits by creating jobs for people, collecting taxes, and building infrastructure. A mutually beneficial relationship where both sides win. But the party holding the initiative is still Vietnam, because the techniques, rice varieties, and entire supply chain are determined by Vietnam. Actually, it's not just about trade, but a form of expansion, temporarily called Vietnamese-style agricultural gentle, not noisy but full of strategy. If you look at the map, you'll see the border area between Vietnam and Cambodia resembles an expanded rice granary of the Mekong Delta. As policies differ from Vietnam. In short, rice is grown in Cambodia, but the profits, techniques, and brands still belong to Vietnam. This is exactly how Vietnamese agriculture, not only knowing how to grow, but also knowing how to invest, calculate, and expand. Very scientific farmers, a country both gentle and clever, clearly demonstrating the mettle of Vietnamese people in a new era. Both farmers, entrepreneurs, and strategists. An admirable aspect of rice growers and rice exporters in Vietnam. Looking at the big picture, this is a smart shift for Vietnam. From exporting for quantity, shouting for more, to selective exporting and strategic importing. It's exactly like how Apple places factories in China to save costs, while selling iPhones in the US at high prices. And Vietnamese people are now doing the same, growing high-quality rice to sell and buying cheap rice. From a commercial perspective, that's not a paradox or maturation. We don't need to try to do everything, but know which tasks bring the most profit, which tasks are most beneficial, and maintain stable domestic prices for products made from that cheap rice. If viewed with a modern eye, this is globalization thinking. It's interesting to see globalization thinking emerging from rice. In the past, we thought self-sufficiency, doing everything from A to Z was good, smart, and autonomous. But now, autonomy means knowing how to utilize the market to optimize profits. Vietnam remains a major rice granary of the world, but now it's a calculating, trading granary that plays by global rules. Thank you for following this story. If you found it interesting, you can click subscribe to the Hidden Ledger channel. Turn on it. For now, we bid farewell. And we look forward to seeing you again.